Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details.
Warm up your winter with Hatfield's marinated pork tenderloins and pork loin fillets, packed with bold flavor and perfect for any family meal. Visit simplyhatfield.com for easy recipes and a store near you. Hatfield, better care, better pork.
Studies show that 100% of everybody in the world wants to curl up indoors and do nothing because it's so darn cold out there. That's why many people are turning to Bombas, whose pillowy plush slippers and warm merino wool socks have been said to be the most comfortable in the history of feet. Bombas products have been found to boost coziness by up to 1,000,000%. Okay, enough fake statistics, but could Bombas socks and slippers really be the cure? Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO.
What's your favorite scary movie? My answer was locked and loaded. Scream. I saw it when I was 13 and my mind was blown. Even now, watching it 30 years later, my mind continues to be blown. In anticipation of Scream 7, I have watched all 6 previous movies in the series, one after another, during the last week. The first is the love of my horror movie life. The second has its charms and some notable brief additions to the cast. The third is more of a comedy than a horror, but that does not impede on my immense enjoyment. The fourth is when you can kind of feel the exhaustion beginning to set in within the franchise. That was the last one, directed by Wes Craven. Everyone thought the series was over. They didn't make a new one for almost a decade after that. The fifth was when the hand of Wes was gone, replaced by someone whose name I don't even remember, and a new emerging scream queen by the name of Jenna Ortega. I enjoyed myself, even though the charisma of this cast was severely lacking compared to the Matthew Lillards of the world who had raised me. The sixth, set in my current hometown of New York City, was the weakest of the bunch. With only Courtney Cox still around, the charm of these new leads had hit an all-time low. I wanted them to die. All of them. Known as the Core Four. Gross. And yet they survived, all of them, for a second straight movie. Even though they had all been stabbed at least 20 times, 6 made me mad. Very mad. What happened to the balls? The balls of killing Drew Barrymore in 1, the balls of killing Jamie Kennedy and Sarah Michelle Gellar in number 2, the balls of killing Parker Posey in number 3? Oh, spoiler alert. There's a formula to this, a very simple formula. While I still love it, 6 was the first time I began to question whether I could actually get off this train. But then they announced number 7, starring Neve Campbell, and I was all the way in. Hook it into my veins, Hollywood. Tonight, I'm going to see Scream 7. I got there early, and by early, I mean right as the previews started. All 30 excruciatingly long minutes of them. This is the real horror, sitting through a half hour of trailers, all of which have already been released online because studios don't want their introduction to be from someone's cell phone and then they upload it to their own personal YouTube channel. As per usual, people occasionally file into the theater with their cell phone lights shining brighter than the sun so that people can find their seat. This is why people don't go to the movies anymore. It's because of other people. The other people are there, and people are the worst. Humanity was slowly morphing into the Core Four. Speaking of people, I'm waiting on Murray, my horror buddy. He's down to see anything. No, we are not together. Most people are confused about our relationship. If we get along so well, why not get romantic? Why keep it platonic? I don't really care to explain it, neither does Murray. We use each other as plus ones when the idea of solitude is too much to bear. How's that for an answer for our will they, won't they? Murray is not as big of a fan of Scream as I am. Nobody is, but he watched all 6 of the previous movies over the last couple weeks to get himself nice and loose for this 7th installment. An installment which included the return of Neve Campbell, Matthew Lillard, and David Arquette. Would it be good? This is almost besides the point. I'm basking in the warm glow of my nostalgia, the heat of which is too powerful to worry about the quality of the content. I want to be 13 again. We all do, I suppose, but back when the core 4 was just a twinkle in someone's eye. Still no word from Murray. Nicole Kidman has just appeared on screen to talk about the magic of movies. Several people clap. This crowd is fired up and ready to go. There's one empty seat as far as I can tell, and it's the one right next to me. So I text Murray again, and I say that he's missing Nicole. No response. Murray's normally on time. And I don't want to check my phone, so within the next 30 seconds, it will get turned off, and so help me God, if someone's phone makes noise during the course of this nostalgia-fueled trip down movie memory lane, I will rip their throat out with my teeth. Eureka! Murray has arrived. I feel a body sit next to me in our designated seats. The last row of the lower level, tucked away in the middle front corner, near the exit, just the way I like it. You're away from most of the other people, yet have a clear view of the action. I turn and laugh. Oh my God. Murray has dressed up as Ghostface, the iconic killer from all 6 Scream movies. Head to toe in character, not a fleck of skin showing. White mask, black robe. This is not like Murray at all. He prefers to walk through life unnoticed. Drawing attention has never been his personal agenda. I whisper to him that this is amazing. As I do, he continues to stare forward. It's only at this moment that I realize this is not Murray. The person sitting next to me is big, noticeably bigger than my plus one. He has an imposing build. Even his presence feels off-putting. If this is a stunt by the movie theater, I gotta tip my cap. However, this movie's about to start, so this guy cannot stick around. I whisper to him that my friend is coming, so he'll have to move once he arrives. The man slowly turns to look at me. His gaze remains fixed. I slink back into my seat and turn back to the screen and then check my phone. Still no word from Murray. I give a quick glance back to my off-putting neighbor, and he is still staring at me. I don't whisper this one. Can you please stop looking at me? I say it loud enough for the nearby people to hear and hopefully turn so that they can see how alarmingly weird this is. Only a couple of people do. I think it's so dark in this theater I can hardly see 6 feet in front of me. His devious glare remains stuck, and I can hear him breathing. It sends a gust of wind along my skin. The 2 closest seats next to us are a couple of teenagers who take an incognito photo of this cosplay weirdo while muffling their giggles. Hardy har har. Why did he have to sit next to me? Maybe because it's the only seat in the house. Still, this is distracting me from my movie, my blissful nostalgia trip back to my youth. The movie begins with a telephone ring. Oh my God, it has begun. And then, my phone rings. I am knifed to death with stares of everyone within shouting distance. I am the jerk. Horrified, I frantically try to silence my call, and then I see that it's Murray calling me. This is my worst nightmare. As I stand up to walk out of the theater, I turn for a moment and I see that Ghostface is still looking at me. While opening the exit door, I say, "Where are you? The movie's starting and there's some guy dressed as Ghostface in your seat." He, not Murray, responds,
"Surprise, Sydney."
It sounds exactly like the Scream voice, the iconic one that alters your voice. Roger Jackson was the actor who created that voice in real life. Most people don't know that, and they should. It's indelible and incredible and whatever other word sounds like those two words. Very funny, Murray. I'm missing the movie. I'm going back in there.
"This isn't Murray,"
he says with a sharpness that I do not appreciate. "See you soon, creep." And I tell him while hanging up and I go back into the theater. Right before the call ends, I can hear him on the other end say,
"Don't hang up on me."
Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details.
Odyssey celebrates Valentine's Day, brought to you by T-Mobile. You can count on T-Mobile to help you stay connected on America's largest 5G network.
Head to Safeway this week and enjoy these amazing deals. Clip coupons from the weekly mailer or download them from the Safeway app to breeze through checkout. Get Overjoyed Boutique Dozen Roses for $24.99. Hand-dipped Belgian chocolate-covered strawberries, 4 to 18 counts, start at $7.99 per package. USDA Choice Boneless Beef Top Sirloin Steak Value Pack or Boneless Beef Tri-Tip Roast Untrimmed Twin Pack, just $5.99 per pound member price. Visit Safeway.com for more details. See you in the aisles.
As I do, I see that the man sitting in Murray's seat has now moved into mine, leaving Murray's seat open. Odd. And annoying. Seat J22 is my seat, my personal creme de la creme, the Dolby Cinema Theater at my local AMC. Most people love IMAX. For me, IMAX is too much. The screen is too big, the sound is too loud. Dolby is the perfect in-between, equidistant from IMAX in a regular theater. I take a deep breath and I sit into my seat. I'm not going to let this creep ruin my movie. I refuse. I've waited too long for this. Me and Nev Campbell have been on this journey for 30 years, and a rabid fan is not going to rain on my horror-fueled parade. Damn it! I missed something. During those 15 seconds with Murray on the phone, I missed something. This experience has already been tainted. No matter how tiny or microscopic it was, I missed something that the entire audience was able to experience without me. I feel something being placed onto my left armrest. The armrest that I am not touching because it would mean being closer in contact with the ghost face. All of my weight is sinking towards my right, away from him. But I can feel something being set down near me. I try to see what it is without letting him know that he has attracted my attention. The theater is so dark I can't even really see clearly. Not yet. I'll have to turn my head ever so slightly in order to actually witness what this thing is. I am missing the movie. I know because as my face very lightly turns to the left, I can hear a big laugh. God damn it! My eyes can't decide where to look, the screen or the armrest. Screw it. I turn and I stare down. My phone rings again. I forgot to put it on mute. More death glares, this time from nearly everyone in the row in front of me. Turn it off! Someone shouts from an unknown location. I do. I'm trying to, rather. As my phone is held out in front of me, I can see that it's Murray again. No time for games. I turn off the phone and I drop it into my purse. He knows where I am. He has his own ticket. We've been planning this for weeks. My sympathy died when he missed Nicole Kidman's AMC commercial that plays before every movie. It dawns on me that this thing on my armrest has now fallen into my lap, and I can feel it against my left hip, squished between my body and the cushion. I reach over to grab it. keeping my eyes away from my neighbor. It feels wet, slimy. I look at my hand. There is this piece of cloth that appears to be drenched in something thick and red? What the? I've been shushed. I don't know from where. It could have been from anywhere. I'm standing in front of my seat. My phone is off, so I have no light, and I still can't tell what this thing is. I pull the cloth up, and it stretches out. Flashes from the screen reveal it in fragments, and it's a t-shirt. It's Murray's t-shirt, drenched in blood. I drop the shirt, and I briskly walk out of the theater. As I do, I turn to look back. He's staring at me again. When my body and hands reach the main space, I can see very clearly now that my left hand, in fact, is covered in blood. I dart directly over towards the concession stand for help. The 3 people working there have a combined age of younger than me, along with some crippling levels of anxiety and acne that have plagued the generation known as Generation Z. I need help. I say this as I hold out my hands. Their collective eyes go wide. This is not what they signed up for. They needed a couple extra bucks and movie discounts to rewatch superhero movies ad nauseum. They did not need this. Me with my hands covered in blood asking for help. What happened? That was the first question. She had to be 18 at most. Terrified. Gen Z was not equipped for these situations. The one person at her register was closer to 80. She looked like Rose at the end of Titanic. Are you all right? Rose asked. I tried to explain. There's a guy in my seat dressed as the Scream guy. He dropped this shirt, my friend's shirt, covered in blood onto my seat. Can you... Gen Z stared at me. Her face turned whiter than Ghostface. I'll call my manager. She excused herself from the concession stand and then beeped her manager on a walkie-talkie while turning a bit towards the popcorn machine. You said your friend dropped his shirt? Rose had the story backwards from front and center. No, I explained. This guy was dressed as the Scream guy. Screen guy? What is that? No, I told her. Scream, not screen. Scream. Like to... I mimed screaming. Oh, I see. My friend Murray, who has this t-shirt, it's a New York Liberty WNBA t-shirt that I bought him for his birthday. This guy, the Scream guy, he had that shirt covered in blood. He was wearing a shirt covered in blood? No, I said with a cutting bitterness. She wasn't getting it. I turned to look back at Gen Z, who was now in front of her register again. My manager is walking up, she said with the confidence of a housefly. Do you have security? I asked. Not really. Sorry. Gen Z turned back to look at Rose and asked if she wanted an upgrade for only 50 cents. I whipped around to see if there was another glimmer of hope. Security. Murray. Someone or something to help me skip ahead towards a solution. Nothing. All I saw was what I quickly realized was a manager. He was, I'm guessing, late 20s. The body the shape of an M&M, trying to exude confidence, but the closer he got, the more I could feel his body tighten up. For a fleeting moment, I felt a crippling amount of jealousy for this man. Living in his quiet little life, getting to be the manager of a movie theater. He probably loved his quiet little life. This guy was not equipped for this any more than Gen Z or Rose. He pointed towards me. Can I help you, ma'am? I explained it again as if my lips were on fast forward. He nodded and listened. Is he still in the theater? I think so. I told him I didn't see him walk out or anything. I could feel his body trembling. I'm sure there were sprinkles of his job that enabled him to conduct a power trip, sprinkles that made him feel as if he had some control over his life, but not this. Not some weirdo with a bloody t-shirt who was a big, like scary big. He took out his flashlight, which was half the size of his leg. This was his hero moment. Time to earn some stripes in front of his troops. He nodded and then asked me what seat number I had, and I told him. All right, let me check. I started to follow him into the theater. As I did, I turned back and I saw that all of the employees and a couple of customers were watching me. One of them had raised a fist in the air like Jesse Owens, and I became simultaneously proud and ashamed. He had the flashlight on before the doors even opened. Everyone within 6 rows could feel the light. I could feel their disdain, seething through the dark theater. Whatever was happening on the screen was clearly exhilarating. Scream was known for their openings. The original has one of the most iconic and creative openings in horror history. It has become a staple in the series. Catch them with the cold open, and now I was ruining that for everyone, thanks to... He was gone. 2 empty seats, mine and Murray's. Are these your seats? I nodded. Ma'am, are these your seats? I said they were. It was so dark he couldn't see me nodding. People were now turned around watching me. Whatever euphoria was occurring on the screen had now been sliced open thanks to some bizarre prank. The heroic manager walked along the outskirts of the theater to see if he could see anyone in a Scream costume. I stayed near my seat. The 2 teens near me ate their popcorn in hushed breath. And when they saw that I saw them watching me, they quickly turned away and tried to keep their attention on the screen. After about a minute, he came strolling back and shrugged. I can check upstairs. I followed him up to the 2nd floor. His flashlight was now being met with hisses and haze that were drenched in more disdain. Sorry, he told them. They didn't care. They wanted blood. We were ruining their experience, all during the opening. What did we come here for? The rush of something new, and I had stolen it from them. All of them, all because of this. I don't see him, he said. I was following the M&M-shaped manager back out into the main space. Everywhere I stood felt dripped in ice. I couldn't shake the bitter cold that I had earlier when Ghostface looked at me. We were now back under the bright lights. Do you want to call your friend? I nodded quickly, scrambling to get my phone out. Tears were being held back at the border. That was the last thing I needed, was to cry in front of some guy a decade younger than me who was no doubt thinking I was some nut job. Your hands, he said. Do you want something to wash them with? If he had proposed marriage, I would have said yes. My knight in shining acne. I nodded again as I turned my phone on. He could see that my hands were shaking. I stood nearby the concession desk. The thought of not having a warm body within 5 feet was too scary to contemplate. As I went down to find recent calls, a text message alert popped up from Murray. I want to see what your insides look like. As I began to type, there was a scream. I turned around. A young woman came darting out from the bathroom, yelling at the top of her lungs that there was a body in the bathroom. A dead body. She already had her phone up to her ear as she continued to shout that there was a body in the bathroom. There's a body in the bathroom! There's a body in the bathroom! I shrunk as my legs liquefied. I sat down on the carpet while the room began to spin. The 7 or 8 people in line began to rush over towards the bathroom, followed by the Gen Z concession workers. The entire space had emptied out with the exception of the young woman on her phone and her boyfriend, who was standing by in shock, until even he had to go look, at which point she followed him from a distance. There were more screams, one on top of the next. Each one seemed to stretch past the previous scream as if their terror was mutating into something more expansive. The air had turned dry and I could hardly breathe, until I felt the hand on my shoulder. Murray. I looked up and he asked, "What did I miss?"
Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows homes, so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews, all on the app. Download today. We're a few weeks into the new year, and I want to check in. How are those lifestyle resets going? Maybe you're tightening up your exercise routine, finally learning that new skill, or attempting to eat a bit healthier. We all know that starting the year strong is a lot easier and much more delicious when you have the right fuel. That's where Omaha Steaks come in. Stay satisfied, keep your energy up, and fuel your daily routine with premium portion proteins delivered right to your door. Omaha Steaks have been America's original butcher since 1917. We're talking about 5 generations of uncompromising quality, backed by an unconditional 100% money-back guarantee. Their variety is unmatched. From handcrafted USDA certified tender steaks to gourmet burgers, seafood, and versatile chicken, every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers. Let Omaha Steaks deliver high-quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with promo code T-Bone at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com. Promo code T-Bone. Terms apply. See site for details.
I gave my statement to the cops, as did several other people, including the movie theater employees and the young woman who had found the body. I told them everything, which was not much. They even spoke with Murray. It was a nightmare. They had shut down the movie theater immediately once the bathroom body had been discovered. This was now a crime scene. I never saw the victim, but I heard she was gutted and hung up against the inside of a bathroom stall. There was an odd wrinkle. The victim had a landline telephone super glued to her hand. I suppose that the killer was trying to make her look like Drew Barrymore from the original Scream. I told this to the cops. They shot me a look that was equal parts interest and apprehension. It didn't take long for word to get out. Murders in movie theaters are rare, excluding that guy dressed as the Joker who killed 12 people and injured 70 others at a screening of The Dark Knight Rises. I remember when that happened like it was yesterday. The consensus was that maybe movies should stop glamorizing the Joker. It was a talking point. That lasted a couple of years until they made a new movie that was about just the Joker, and it made $1 billion. Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor at the Oscars. The talking points continued, rinse and repeat. But this was New York City on opening day of a new horror movie that happened to be the 7th installment of one of the most well-known and successful horror franchises of all time. Online idiots began to conspire around the notion that this was some sort of marketing ploy, a way to drum up business. The woman who had been murdered was some sort of Instagram influencer with a pretty decent following. Why her, they wondered. But also, why me? Murray told the cops that he had lost his phone earlier that day. He wasn't sure when, but it must have been on the subway. Whoever found it saw that he was getting notifications from me, so they decided to have a little fun at my expense. Seeing how this was Scream 7 Day and all, the cops' level of apprehension towards us seemed to grow. Our bizarre set of circumstances only added gas to the fire of this colossal crap storm that had been brewing in one of New York City's most well-known movie theaters. You said this guy had Murray's shirt. What? Murray said. They were now talking to both of us at once instead of individually. We were the only 2 people they seemed interested in. Everyone else was standing by, talking on their phones, taking pictures on their phones, or videotaping on their phones of us. Me, Murray, the cops. I told the police and Murray that this guy had dropped a bloody New York Liberty t-shirt onto my seat. I thought it was Murray's because he has one of them, which I had bought. When they asked if that was true, Murray answered by unzipping his jacket. He was wearing the shirt that I had bought for him. The one which was not covered in blood. The cops looked at each other and took a deep breath. Our next stop would be back to the police station where we could all speak in private. We could have said no. We could have asked for a lawyer first, but there was nothing to hide and we wanted to help. So we went with them back to the station. The crowd watched us leave together. Our faces would no doubt be placed into the middle of 1,000 conspiracy corners. Why just us, would they wonder, while drowning their personal social media handles with pictures of our faces so that they can play lead investigator. Our lives were now their scoops. They could be ahead of the curve. How exciting for them. For us, no. They spoke to each of us individually in separate rooms. This time the questions were being asked by Detective Dewars. He was more thoughtful and measured. I told him what I had told the previous officers, and his questions were rational. Do I have any connection to the deceased? Would anyone want to implicate me or Murray? What was the nature of me and Murray's relationship? Were we romantic or platonic? He was starting to sound like my friends, trying to slice and dice the nature of me and Murray. Who in our lives would go through such trouble to ensure that we would be in the middle of a homicide investigation? I had no clue. I assumed Murray had no clue as well, but he was in some other room. And then Detective Dewar started to ask me about Scream. What is Scream about? I'm not a big horror guy. Tell me the plot on those movies. I explained as best as I could. I went through the general beats of the franchise. I told him that they were very influential because they took a somewhat meta approach. They were movies that were aware of other movies. That made them feel original and exciting. I told him that Scream made you feel like you could be a character in the movie. He took a beat before he said it. So, kind of like right now.
Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details.
Grammy Award-winning violinist Joshua Bell returns to the San Francisco Symphony. Experience the power, precision, and passion of one of the world's great violinists. Hear Joshua Bell in Brahms' famed Violin Concerto with the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. That's Joshua Bell, March 1st at the San Francisco Symphony. Tickets at sfsymphony.org.
Guys, it's no use putting it off. The best time for an underwear refresh is now. Tommy John underwear is designed for a perfect fit that stays put all day. There's zero chafe thanks to 4 times more stretch than competing brands. And their innovative horizontal quick draw fly is a game changer. With over 30 million pairs sold, there are thousands of men out there more comfortable than you. Don't settle for less. Go to TommyJohn.com today for 25% off your first order with code COMFORT. That's TommyJohn.com, code COMFORT. Tommy John. Comfort perfected.
I looked up and I said I didn't understand what he meant. He told me this situation, me being here, talking to him about a murder in a movie theater while watching Scream. It's almost like you're in the movie. There was a knock. The door opened. Dewey? A word? The man asking for a word seemed to be higher up the ladder, judging by his suit. Dewars asked me to wait here for a moment until he returned. Dewey? I thought, well, that's an odd coincidence. David Arquette's character in Scream was Dewey. I can't tell him this, though. He already thinks I'm crazy. What good would that do? But it was odd, though. Very odd. They couldn't hold us for anything. MTA had footage of Murray riding the subway when the murder would have been committed. There was nothing to suggest that we were involved, excluding the fact that we had been targeted in some twisted fashion. The cops suggested that we not be alone tonight. Considering we both lived alone, we agreed in front of them that we would spend the night together. Better safe than sorry. Detective Dewars said he would have 2 of his men stationed outside my apartment tonight. We agreed to stay available for further questioning. When we got back to my apartment, Murray sat on the floor against my wall and I collapsed onto my couch. This was so crazy. That's all we could say. This is so crazy. I told Murray what Dewars had said to me, that it was as if we were in the movie that became a phenomenon because it made the audience feel like characters in a movie. Well, Murray said, "Well, what?" I asked. "If that's true, how does this movie end?" I sat back on my couch. Whether he was being serious or not didn't matter to me. Although, judging by the tone of his voice, he most definitely was serious. I thought deeply about what he had just asked me. If this was the movie, if the level of meta movie making had reached such depths as to put me into the actual movie, how would it end? Well, I told him, from what I've seen of the victim's social media, she has a lot of videos of her getting reprimanded inside movie theaters for being loud and annoying. So maybe the phone glued to her hand wasn't just an homage to Drew Barrymore in the original Scream. Maybe it was also an indictment on modern movie audiences and how they refuse to respect other people or the filmmakers of the film that they came here to watch. Maybe killing her at one of the first screenings for Scream was meant as a warning sign. Respect thy neighbor, or what? Murray asked. Or maybe you and me should watch a new horror movie. See what happens.
Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details. If you're an experienced pet owner, you already know that having a pet is 25% belly rubs, 25% yelling, drop it, and 50% groaning at the bill from every pet visit, which is why Lemonade Pet Insurance is tailor-made for your pet and can save you up to 90% on vet bills. It can help cover checkups, emergencies, diagnostics, basically all the stuff that makes your bank account get nervous. Claims are filed super easily through the Lemonade app and half get settled instantly. Get a quote at lemonade.com/pet and they'll help cover the vet bill for whatever your pet swallowed after you yelled, drop it.
Odyssey celebrates Valentine's Day, brought to you by T-Mobile. You can count on T-Mobile to help you stay connected on America's largest 5G network.